You're going to have to establish boundaries, stand on them, and exemplify a level of self-respect about yourself that's going to rustle some people's feathers. I've learned that many people struggle when it comes to truly exemplifying self-respect and setting boundaries, and not only just that, standing on them and standing on them for all people. But I've also learned, in what I have been through in life and experienced, is that if you give somebody an inch, they will take a mile, and people will continue to try to push limits to see how far they can go. How far can they step past the line that you drew? Maybe you drew the line in the concrete, but it ain't become solid yet. Those people are going to continue to try to cross that line until it becomes solid. And this is what I've learned. Once again, like I said, people will you give people an inch and they will take a mile. But it's something that is very hard to do as a conditioned people pleaser. I reference myself as that. I'm a conditioned people pleaser just with the way that I grew up. I've really been taught primarily to do for people, or more so treat people as if you were wanting to be treated. But a lot of people don't treat you the same exact way. And then I come to find myself being put in situations where I'm just doing and doing, and then eventually it comes a point where it starts to diminish my own mental health, and I try to say I don't want to do anymore, and now I get painted out as the bad guy. When it comes to me establishing a boundary of me being the giver or you being the giver, right? And they're continuously taking more and more steps in your boundaries, taking more and more steps, taking more and more energy away from you. When you finally say as the giver that you're not going to allow them to take anymore, all of a sudden you become the bad guy. And that is also part of the mental disparity that I personally deal with, and many of us do, is because they don't want to be seen with the bad guy. And I come to the realization now that if it comes to being seen as the bad guy for me placing boundaries and me respecting myself, then so be it, because no longer will I allow a level of uncomfortability between me and you because you want me in bondage. I'm not going to allow the uncomfortability within me and feel as if I'm in a state of bondage because I like to give to people, because I'm a nice person. I'm giving to you at the expense of my uncomfortability, and I have kind of settled for that due to my level of conditioning. It's time to do that unprogramming. We have to do that unprogramming. I've talked about it before. Many people are we've become conditioned people pleasers, and we don't realize how much it is to diminish our self-respect and boundaries. And I can say for me personally, again, one of the things that we really tend to move our boundaries for is our loved ones. And I have a prayer now that I say, protect me from my loved ones. My enemies I can handle. It'd be the loved ones, the people that you love, right, that you allow within your circle, that tend to always try to cross your boundaries, that tend to always try to poke the bear. And because they are people that we care about, right, we tend to put the shield down. We tend to back up and let them come closer, back up and let them come closer again, at the expense of our comfortability, at the expense of our self-respect, at the expense of our energy. But once again, takers will continue to take from you unless you shut those resources off. It goes back into me saying pouring into the wrong cups, right? But sometimes you don't realize that you're pouring back into the own cup because you've just been conditioned at some point that, like-minded people, or if you treat somebody one way, they'll treat you the same way. Treat people how you want to be treated. But no, they never pour back into your cup. Takers will continue to take until you have nothing. It's a matter of realization that this is why boundaries have to be set. The more and more that you allow people to get away with when it comes to crossing your boundaries, right, they will continue to do so because it becomes their normal, right? So then when you try to go and set those boundaries, when you finally have had enough, when you finally had enough and you finally realize your worth and your self-respect for you and the things that you want, and realize that your uncomfortability is not worth the making them feel happy or accommodating for them, making them feel great about what they're receiving from you at the expense of your uncomfortability. When you finally realize that, you're going to try to establish boundaries. But guess what's going to happen to you? When you establish boundaries with people, all of a sudden they start to point you out as the bad guys, the villain, because now you've cut them off from a resource. You've cut them off from being able to go past your level of defense, in which that they've never had the issue of going past before. All of a sudden you become the bad guy because you've cut off their normal. It was their normal. It was their normal because you were letting them go past your boundaries just because you love them, or you lack the self-respect, or you didn't truly see the whole entirety of the situation, right? And then because of that, And now you find yourself in this situation. You've placed the boundaries and now you're the bad guy because you just cut off their normal. You just cut off their resources. You said you can't have anymore. I used to think there was a negative thing when it comes to that, but I realize boundaries are very important when it comes to your self-respect. Boundaries are very important when it comes to your energy, protection of yourself, right? A lot of people tend to try to make your boundaries seem as if they're a bad thing, right? But something that I've learned and something I just talked to my sister about is that the people that don't mind your boundaries are the people who matter. And the people who do mind your boundaries are the people that don't matter. Those are the people that you must remove. Those are the people that you must protect yourself and kind of get out. And now I will say something that I also learned is that boundaries aren't necessarily for you to keep people out. Boundaries are for you to keep the people in that are worth receiving everything that is within that safeguard, everything that's within that safety net, the boundary or in that line, right? Or on that line. They are for the people who are deserving of you. When we go ahead and start talking about deserving things, to some extent it connects to a level of self-respect, right? But you tend to let people walk over you, right? And eventually it is going to start to affect how you view yourself. Once again, your respect for yourself and the value that you have for yourself. And something that I've realized from talking to my sister once again is that you cannot allow the way that people treat you when you establish your boundaries or the lack of your boundaries to affect the way that you treat yourself or the way that you view yourself and your value. Being a conditioned people pleaser, and in those times when my boundaries was crossed and I tried to tried to establish them, but I lacked the confidence and the backbone in order to keep them up. That I've always been painted out as oh, why are you doing this? You're acting weird. I've had these scenarios happen, right? And I've always looked at them as bad. And I started to reflect on myself to think that, oh, maybe I should let them do that. Or maybe I'm a bad person for doing that. I started to treat myself as kind of a villain. We tend to start treating ourselves as kind of the bad guy or the villain because we have now cut somebody off that we love from something that they're so used to taking away from us or having so much access to it. And they've painted us out as a bad guy. And it does something to your psyche to where you start to view and change the way that you think about yourself because you establish boundaries. But in reality, the perspective shift of that, it is all just a self-preservation thing. I say again, you have to preserve yourself. You have to protect your peace. You have to protect your mental, because over time, the more and more people step on you, it's only so many times till you get back up and you just want to explode, or you sit there and you allow yourself to be crushed by the weight of their footsteps. And you cannot allow yourself to be put in these situations where you're just beneath anybody. It makes you feel beneath somebody when they step on you. Boundaries are very essential, and I realize that now. I really don't truly understand why it's so hard for us to kind of really do it. Like, I'm explaining it, but I'm saying what it is that we should be doing, right? But understand that it is something that is very hard. Maybe that's an internal thing that I have to dive a little bit deeper to figure out. But again, boundaries are very essential for your preservation, as well as allowing you to have a degree of self-respect about you. People will continue to take, they'll take and take until you have nothing left. Give them an inch, they will take a mile. But once again, what you can do is limit the amount that they can take, limit the amount that they have. Protect yourself, stand tall, add some defense to yourself, because eventually the only person who is going to suffer when it comes to people crossing your boundaries is going to be you. It's crazy how the cycle starts. Again, I'm regressing back that initially when you start to let people do things, they will continue and continue and continue to do it over and over and over again. You continue to start receding your line. You put your boundary here, you let them get to it, cross it, you move it back again, they do it again, they do it again, they keep on crossing it, right? I generally used to think that, you know, if they see that your uncomfortability from them crossing the boundary, eventually that day will stop, because that's how I am. If I've said something, I've done something, and I see that somebody's uncomfortable with, I generally conduct myself in a whole different manner. People are not like us. People are not like you. People do not care. They will continue to approach on your boundary line, step past it, and continue to look down on you and say, how dare you try to put that in front of me. They will continue to do so. I think I found and realized the strength in that there is nothing wrong in setting boundaries. You must gain the respect for yourself. Realize, have some respect for yourself. Stop allowing yourself to be walked upon. Stop allowing yourself to be looked at little. Stop allowing people to cross your line and make you feel bad for preserving yourself. So again, Boundaries are essential. Many of us lack it due to the condition people pleasing, but I think it's time enough, because the condition people pleasing, we never sit here and think about ourselves. We never think about the uncomfortability that we're being put through. We're never thinking about the lack of respect that we're getting from these people, because respect is a two-way street. But I find myself a lot of the times it's always me giving on the giving end of that streak and not giving it back from getting it back from certain people. And yes, I have discernment when it comes to many people inside of my life. I've done a pretty good job when it comes to people within my circle. But then it comes to a point where maybe I've lacked the ability to screen enough, or we lack the ability to screen enough, right? And you let people in, and because you start to develop these feelings for them and care for them, you don't realize that they are stepping over boundaries. You don't realize they're making you uncomfortable. You're looking past it. You're looking past your emotions to accommodate for their comfortability, to accommodate for their satisfaction, to accommodate for their greed, the things that they want out of you, instead of thinking about, hey, what do I want for me? I don't want this to happen anymore. I don't want to feel like this after interacting with these people. I don't want to feel like this after engaging with these people. That is where you have to have that self-respect. Many of us lack it, and it gets flipped on us as something that is bad for having self-respect. But I say again, there is nothing wrong for having self-respect. There is nothing wrong for valuing yourself. There is nothing wrong for you to put boundaries and establish a defensive perimeter for yourself to protect you and your energy, and to be able to only give it to those who are respectful of those boundaries and those who adhere to them. Because once again, the people who don't mind those boundaries matter, and the ones who don't matter are the ones who mind your boundaries. Point blank simple. It is simple as that. So don't beat yourself up over people who don't respect you, or people who make you look bad for crossing your boundaries. Don't feel bad about that. But yeah, overall, the reason I felt inclined to speak upon this is because of the conversation I had recently with an individual about respect as well as boundaries. And I feel it's not that I've conditioned them to be able to continue to step on me because I love them. And I will no longer allow my love to be a weakness or something that can diminish my value of myself. I choose me, just like I've said before. It's time for me to choose me, and it's time for you to choose you when it comes to these people. Self-preservation, because they will continue to run you dry. They will run you dry. And I felt like to some degree I was being ran dry or being run over when it comes to these interactions with this individual. And I'm aware that this change in my demeanor and nature may affect them and may rustle some feathers or whatever, but you will either adhere or you will not be welcome to receiving of any of my energy. I will take back anything in which that I've given to you. I will cut you off from all of my resources. Those are the words in which you must say in order to ingrain within your mind to protect yourself and understand that there is nothing wrong with setting boundaries and having some respect for yourself. Have some respect for yourself. What do I say all the time is ask yourself why. Why do you allow this to happen? Why do you allow them to walk over you? Why do you allow them to step over your boundaries and make you feel uncomfortable and you try to accommodate for them? Why is it that you're not standing up and respecting yourself in such manner in which you respect them? Why? You'll find the answer of a lot of your questions if you go down the rabbit hole of why. And that's one of the videos I want to make in the future. But I digress. I think that's all I really have for y'all. It is okay to set boundaries. Protect yourself. People will continue to take. I say it again, I think I said it 3 or 4 times in this video. They will continue to take from you and diminish you. They will diminish you of your resources. They will diminish you of your energy. They will diminish you of your value. If you do not put any boundaries on yourself, they will continue to cross them. They will continue to step all over you. And when you establish those boundaries, you must stand in full defense. You must stand 10 toes down on everything in which that you will and will not allow to happen, everything that you're willing to give and not willing to give, and what you're willing to allow them to take. And you must stand on that and have some respect for yourself, because ultimately that's all what it is. It's a matter of self-respecting yourself and self-preserving. Have some respect for yourself. You are allotted the grace that you give everybody else. Being you adhere to their boundaries, you give them the respect, you treat them as such, you are allotted that same thing. And if those who cannot fit your criteria, those who cannot abide by the requirements in which you have, I'm sorry to tell you, it may be hard, you may love them or whatever, but they may just have to sit on the outside. They may have to get exiled. In that case, it'll be the situation where a boundary is for keeping somebody out. So That's all I got for you. I'm getting back into the swing of things. Everything's doing all right. I'm pumping out these videos. I feel inclined to talk about a lot of stuff. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope this video found you well. Hope it resonated with somebody. And yeah, stand up for yourself. Have some boundaries. Have some respect. Stand 10 toes down and work at it every single day. As hard as conditioned people pleasers, but I promise you, we can do this together. Just take it every day. Set a line. Set a boundary. Have some respect. Value yourself. And realize that one breath, one step, one day at a time. Implement it. One breath, one step, one day at a time. Yeah, that's all I got for you. I love you. Join the community if you haven't. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.